Yeah, because she was saying that if you don't approve someone's comment, is it a good idea to email them and let them know why you did not approve it? And yeah, that's a great idea, because that way, again, they can't come back and say, if you give them the reason why, then they know exactly why, and then you can tell them if it didn't get by for this particular reason, say to them, well, if you'll agree to change this, then we'll approve it. So that way they know exactly why it wasn't approved, and they know exactly what they need to do to make sure that it does go through. Yes, sir.
Mac, what would you say the biggest mistake that bloggers make?
Are you talking about bloggers for the company or customer?
No, bloggers for the company.
As far as handling negative comments?
Just in general, what do you see that kind of gets, that you say, well, gee, I wish they shouldn't be doing that?
Well, in general, I think that one of the mistakes that a lot of company blogs make is that they don't stick with it. They don't. And you have to understand that it is going to be a long-term commitment. It needs to be something. If you start a blog, you're going to assume that it has no expiration date. We're going to do it from now on. Now, one thing that you can do to kind of help yourself with that is, let's say, for example, you decide today you're going to start a company blog. And what you may do is say, you may write down, well, we need to write 3 new posts a week. Try instead for maybe 1 post a week. And then see if you can do 1 post a week, and if you can, go up to 2. Because what will happen a lot of times, if you start out with these lofty goals, we're going to do 3 posts a week because all these blogging experts like Mack Collier say we need to do 3 posts a week. If you start out and you find that you can't do 3 posts a week, you're going to be like, ugh. It's a lot easier to come up from 1 than it is to try to come down from 3. Because you have to realize it too, it's going to take a lot of work, and it's going to be something you're going to have to be passionate about. I mean, I've been doing it for now 6 years, and there's a lot of times it's just like, I don't want to write anything today. I have nothing to say. I've already said it all, you know, so. Yep. And do make note of my email if you have some more questions later on. Yes, sir.
Can you tell me one company or one style of company that should not have a blog?
Well, one thing you have to consider is certain industries like pharmaceutical, financial, they have to be really careful about what they can and cannot say on their blog. But really, at the end of the day, it comes down to, are your customers reading blogs? Are they going to be online? And the same thing could be said for Twitter, for Facebook, wherever. Are they using it today, or are they going to be using it tomorrow? I don't think that every company should be blogging, or they shouldn't be on Twitter. They shouldn't be using any of these tools. You have to look at what your own situation is, and by having this blog, is this blog going to help us better connect with our customers, our partners, our donors, or whoever that group is we're trying to connect with? If it will, then you should seriously consider. If it won't, then why do it? Do something else that's going to help you better connect with those people.
Can you think of one company that should not have a blog? I can't. I mean, I've literally tried to think.
One example?
That probably should not.
I know a lot of company blogs that just suck. So, I mean, most of them do. Well, you have to think about it, though. A lot of people, when do you read a company blog? The only time you're going to see a company blog is probably when you do a Google search for you've got a problem with your product.
Or look for a job.
Or you're looking for a job. Then maybe a job listing will come up on the blog post, and that'll be something you'll click on. But most people don't read company blogs a lot of times, because it's really dry reading most times. I mean, there's some that do a really good job. Patagonia is a good example. They don't really focus so much on their products. They focus more on the way their customers, they focus on things like the environment, sustainability, et cetera. That makes it a little bit more interesting. But most company blogs they're really customer-centric, and a lot of times, I mean, if you're in B2B, maybe it works a little bit better, but for most people, that's really dry reading. So. Yes, ma'am.
What different advice or anything in addition to what you've already said would you apply to comments outside of your company's realm? For example, a Yelp or a review or Twitter that's not necessarily tagging your company.
Yeah.
You find it.
You should still respond, but you should also be aware that there may be certain spoken or unspoken rules that are on that site. For example, if you go on for like the gentleman earlier was talking about, if you've got like a review site that's set up that handles a specific industry, You know, the site owners, how receptive are they going to be to you coming and addressing that feedback? Most of them will be very happy to see you there, but if it's a site that's set up specifically trying to draw traffic by getting all these people that want to say and want to rant about a company together, they may try to shut you down. So you should definitely still respond, and that's where a lot of this feedback is going to come. It's going to come off your blog. It's going to come on Facebook. It's going to come on Twitter, and you've definitely got to monitor that as well. And you should still respond, but you just need to be mindful of it could be different. You could get a different reception responding in your house versus responding on Main Street. So, yes, sir.
Have you seen a distinction between kind of policies for dealing with individual complaints or concerns versus an organized attack against a company or brand? Like when a group like a PETA or someone, when they make a methodical attack, have you seen companies kind of differentiating how they deal with that versus the one-off complaints?
Not really, because I don't think that's happened a lot. You know, like the Nestle thing with who was that? Greenpeace.
Yeah.
On Facebook. Yeah, that's an example. But I mean, there's not a lot of examples of that. And again, this goes back to the idea, and you know this. A lot of these companies, I mean, this is all new to them. So we haven't really gotten to the point. The space itself, I don't think, has matured to the point where most companies even have a comment policy to begin with. And then they're definitely not getting to the point where they're thinking about, well, how do we handle an individual versus organized? I mean, that's something, especially for big brands, yeah. They should be considering that. But no, I haven't seen. Do you know of anything?
I mean, we deal with it, like with client brands that we work with, national brands. It's something where they're very scared of it. It's that boogeyman that's out there. Odds of it slim. Fear factor pretty high. But it's just one of those things where, yeah, you get to a point where when I've seen it happen on smaller scales than Greenpeace,
yeah,
it's rapid fire, and basically, you know, the best we can do is create policies that say we will delete repeated comments. You know what I mean? Because it's like we'll let their comments stand, but if they're spamming your wall,
yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah,
draw a distinction.
And that's what, yeah, and that's
kind of a Facebook specific thing.
Yeah,
I mean, pretty much, but.
And again, a lot of it goes back to simply educating the readers, the users, whatever, of these are the guidelines. And here is the line. If you cross this line, you know that this will happen. So that'll get rid of a lot of it. Yeah, but that's a great point, especially for bigger brands, because I bet you Nestle's got one now. So, yeah. Yes, ma'am.
If you respond initially incorrectly, is it...
I'm sorry, what was that?
If you respond initially...
If you respond, yeah, okay.
...incorrectly.
Right.
And you too much emotionalism in your response, is it
Yeah.
best to delete it and start again once you realize that, or is it better to just leave it there and come back with a response correcting or better clarifying what you're trying to say? Knowing that other people have already seen that.
Yeah, and that's the thing, because if you do delete it, then other people are going to be like, well, I've already seen it. It depends. I'm not going to say that you should never delete. A lot depends on exactly what you said. I mean, if you were drunk last night and you said some stuff and now you've sobered up and you're like, I shouldn't. But in general, I think it's better to leave it up and just come back and apologize and say, you know what, I let my emotions get the better of me, because we're human. And again, this goes back to the idea of, are these people trolls or are they normal people? Most of them are normal people. They're going to be forgiving. There was a few weeks ago on Twitter where, and this really isn't a negative comment sort of thing. Well, it sort of kind of is. But one of the girls at the Red Cross Twitter account, she tweeted something saying that she tweeted something, one of her friends saying she had the beer and the party is on for the night, but she forgot she was tweeting it from the Red Cross account. She thought she was still on her personal account. So, but what they did was they were really proactive about it, and they immediately jumped in. They said, we apologize. We've taken the keys away from her. There's no driving tonight and all this. And because she jumped in and immediately they responded and they had a sense of humor about it, all the Red Cross evangelists immediately jumped in. They're like, hey, don't worry about it. It happens to all. And they started making a joke. They started organizing ways to get donations in. If you donate a pint of blood, and she mentioned a specific brand of beer in her tweet. That brand of beer stepped up and said, and they somehow got involved where if you donate a pint of blood, we'll give you a six-pack or something like that. So it all worked out, but a big reason why it worked out was because they immediately jumped in and they apologized, yeah, we shouldn't have said that type of thing. But I think in that case, they did delete that tweet. But, think what?
I think it was an extra check mark on Facebook.
There's an extra check mark on what?
On his suite. She just, didn't know it was green.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Really easy to do.
It is real easy to do that because, yeah.
I've got a question.
Okay.
What's your best advice for journalists who are already creating content on behalf of their organization who are hesitant about wading into comments at all, whether they're responding to something positive or negative?
What I would do, and I think you've tried to do this in the past, is that you can tell them all day that, hey, if you'll do this, then this is what will happen. But what really works well is case studies. And you know this, if you can find one journalist that's jumped in there and did you ever connect with TV Amy? She's a great example of that because she does a great job. She basically flips it and uses her readers to source her material, tell me what you're seeing. Like, for example, if they're having storms, she uses Twitter to put out notices. Hey, if you're in this particular area, send us pictures. Let us know what the weather looks like right now. And as a result, she's got this huge following built up. But back to your point, I think that what you can do is try to find case studies, trying to find someone that's similar to what they're doing that's using it well, because that really resonates for people. You can say all day that, well, if you'll engage, that you'll get more engagement, that type of thing, but we need to see it in action. Until you can actually see someone that's done the same thing, then it starts to click with people.
Mike's got a really good example. Hold on one second. Hey, if you guys don't know Ike Biggett, he's a spokesperson for Alabama Power. He's an inaugural speaker. He's actually tweeting right now on behalf of Alabama Power. And a guy from North Alabama complained about Alabama Power not fixing their electricity, basically. Well, the guy said, did you see Alabama Power's tweet? It's official, 98% of people affected gas power. I find that hard to believe. Tommy came back to Jay and said, ridiculous. I drive across North Alabama all the way to my job. Those accounts for about 20%, many less. Fact at Alabama Power. So we replied back, we only report figures for our service territory. We don't serve the northernmost part of the state. Within 2 minutes, Tommy comes back, duly noted, thank you for your response. So, thanks, man.
Idea of you have the right to jump in and correct misinformation, because I'm sure a lot of people are driving around and he may not understand, am I in an area that's serviced by Alabama Power or is this a TVA area? They may not know that. So a lot of times just jumping in and saying, hey, here's what's actually happened. Okay, thanks. So I think we're out of time. That's again, let me go quickly through all this. There it is. Again, please make note of my email address, mack.collier@gmail.com. And I've got some cards too if you need some here in just a minute. But please do email me if you have any questions. And again, thank you guys so much for coming out today. I really do appreciate it.